Back in 1998, the Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority drafted a report outlining the condition of the Maskinonge River, and the findings were not good. In fact, the Maskinonge is one of the most degraded river systems in the subwatershed of Lake Simcoe. So, along with other environmental groups, the LSRCA set out to restore this beleaguered waterway back to a viable ecosystem. Today, we celebrate the restoration and discover what work is left to be done.
For the past 3 years, supporters of the Maskinonge Recovery Project have gathered for this one-day event, playfully dubbed Up the Maskinonge with a Paddle, here in Keswick, where a lot of restoration work has occurred along the shorelines. The woman helming the project is Andy Pellin from the Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority.
This whole area here, what would have been a wetland at some point, it's still considered actually a provincially significant wetland. So if we were having the opportunity to develop it nowadays, we would never have been given that opportunity. It probably would have been a large ecological park. But as it is right now, we have houses. Their houses are on soils that are essentially peat moss. It's like triple mix when you go and buy that from the store. That's what these people's lawns are. Of course, that means that even the slightest bit of wave action means that it's just going to slough right into the water. So where the river used to be deeper and narrower, now it's wider and shallower.
The LSRCA has been working with property owners for the past 3 years on projects to address the erosion and to improve the quality of water for aquatic life.
So what we're looking at right here is all the rocks that we've put in place of the straight shore wall that existed before. The straight shore walls weren't great because they weren't helping with the erosion that was happening here. The other thing that the rocks do is instead of a straight surface, now you have all of these little crevices and areas for little benthic organisms, in other words fish food, to actually live in. So when you put this kind of thing in, you're actually increasing the amount of fish habitat that you have here.
That green stuff you're looking at is called duckweed. And in small quantities, it's not a problem. But here on the Maskinonge, it's growing out of control due to nutrient overloading from the surrounding lands. And basically what happens when there's too much algae in the water, it can lead to something called eutrophication, which is essentially the algae using all of the available oxygen in the water and making the water unlivable for all other aquatic species.
The recovery project is focusing on reducing the nutrient overloading by planting vegetation buffer zones.
One of the reasons that we like to see a lot of vegetation at the stream side in these buffer zones is not only to stop the erosion, it also filters some of the phosphorus and nutrients that are coming off of the land use. But one of the great things they also do is if you have overhanging shrubs and trees, then you've actually created shade on top of that water. The fish love it because, believe it or not, they can actually get sunburned. And also it will help to cool the water. The temperatures in most of these systems have become warmer because you have less trees and shrubs there, which means that you now have a whole host of different species. So what we're trying to protect in Lake Simcoe is our cold water fishery and trying to restore that. And we're doing that by doing a lot of plantings on these riparian areas, these buffer areas. And that's probably our #1 focus right now in this project, is to get people to start planting as much as you can. And the closer to the water's edge, the better.
Andy also suggests to landowners that they allow a naturalized buffer zone to develop. Simply by not mowing the last few feet of their lawn from the riverbank, that mix of grasses and wildflowers will absorb a lot of the nutrients into the root system, thus diverting it from the water.
This is Cove's Marina, and at this site here, he just had a large lawn area that was mowed right up to the edge of his marina slips. And what we did is we came in and we planted 400 trees and shrubs, all native species. That's going to really help to bring some diversity into this area. They don't look very impressive right now because they're only 2 years old, but come back here in 10 years and you'll actually have a nice forest. And anywhere in this river system that could have some more trees is going to benefit the quality of this river. you went up to the headwaters of the Maskinonge, up into East Gwillimbury, you would see that there was just barely a trickle of water. Some people call it the ditch, I call it the mighty Maskinonge, but up there on one of these tributaries of the Maskinonge, we actually put in about 10 tons of river rock into the river to create a little bit of a pinch point, which is going to let the water sort of burble over top of rocks, which will increase the oxygen levels in the water, which is really one of the big problems here, is the lack of oxygen in the water. We electrofished in that area with our science department, and they were going along and not finding hardly anything. For the longest time, there's like one, there's another one, and all of a sudden they got to the downward side of our little stream riffle we put in, and then he hit the mother lode, and all the fish were down there. And it was really great validation that we're right on the right track here. The fish all love what we did, which means that we're doing the right thing.
It has taken at least 50 years for the river to reach this level of degradation, and according to Andy Pellin, it'll take at least another 50 years for it to be fully recovered. And the only way that's going to happen is with the help of landowners and you, the public. If you'd like to get involved with the Maskinonge River Recovery Project, you can contact the Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority. If you'd like more information, please visit our website at rogerstv.com/A Greener York.